The four rules that were there to convert an active sentence into passive voice. All right. So the first rule was move the object of the sentence in the active voice to the subject position in the passive voice. So this was the first rule. We are going to go each of them very quickly. All right, in brief. So we are changing the subject and the object's position in the passive voice. Basically, we are exchanging them. I think today also there is some problem with Zoom. Everybody is joining again and again and getting disconnected. So you can see birds build nests. So what is happening? Birds is in the subject's place and nest is in the object's place. But in the passive voice, it has changed completely. So nest is present in the subject's place and birds has gone into the place of object. So this is how, my God, everybody is joining. So this is how we change the position of the subject and the object in the passive voice. Then what was the second rule? We have to use the appropriate be verb according to the sentence, according to the tense of the active voice. So the tense that is being used in the active voice, we are going to use the appropriate form of be verb according to that. For example, birds build nests. So in this case, we clearly see that the tense that is being used over here is simple present tense, right? So we are going to use are over here in the passive voice. So the correct form of be verb over here is are. All right. Then what was the third rule? We have to use the perfect participle of the main verb. That is the third form of the verb. For example, when we say birds build nests, so what is the third form of the main verb build? It's built. So we are using the third form of the verb. Similarly, for taught, the third form of the verb is taught only. So we are writing taught only. So the third form of the main verb is also required. Then the fourth and the last rule was that the object of the transitive verb in the active voice becomes the subject of the verb in the passive voice, and the subject is placed at the end with the preposition by. So in the object in the passive voice, before the object, we put a preposition by. Usually it is by, but sometimes we use other prepositions also. There are certain exceptions, but most of the times we are going to use by for it. All right. So these were the four basic rules. Okay. Now, if you have read this chart, then you will understand. I have also noted down the all the forms of the be verb for you. Last time I didn't do it, but I have done so that it is easier for you to see all the things in a single slide. So when the tense is simple present in the active voice, then the correct form of be verb will be is or are, according to the singularity or the plurality of the subject, right? In which we are changing. So if the subject in the passive voice is singular, we are going to use is. And if the subject in the passive voice is plural, then we are going to use are, along with the third form of the main verb. Similarly, if you see in the simple past, we just change is and are into was and were, right? Because we are talking about the past now. Plus, the third form of the verb will be placed. When you see the case of simple future, it will be the correct form of be will be will be. You will add will be there. If you go back, you will see also that in simple future, what is written? Pratima will write a letter. So a letter will be written. So will be has been added over here, right? Can you see it? Will be has been added. And for write, the third form of the verb will be written. So written has been placed. So in cases of simple future, will be is added. All right. So now you can understand the correct form of the be verbs present in all these cases. Now let's see the example of present continuous. In present continuous, we are using being also, right? For example, in the simple present, we were just using is and are, but here with is and are, we are also adding the ing, because in the continuous form, the verb contains ing also, you know. So that is why we are using is being or are being. And similarly, for the past continuous, we are changing into was being and were being. Plus, the third form of the verb remains constant in all the tenses. This is not going to change. This is never going to change, right? But the be verb is continuously changing from becoming is are in the continuous form, it is becoming is being are being. From the simple past where it was and were, in the past continuous, it is changing into was being, were being, right? And in the simple future, it is will be. Now see the case of the perfect tenses. And one more important thing I want to tell you, that in the future continuous tense, we can't change it into passive voice. So there are certain tenses for which there is no passive form available. They are the future continuous tense, the present perfect continuous tense, past perfect continuous tense, and future perfect continuous tense. You can note it down. For these four tenses, there is no passive form available. We can't change them into passive form. Note down these four. The future continuous tense. Yes. So future continuous cannot be changed. Present perfect continuous cannot be changed. Past perfect continuous cannot be changed. And the future perfect continuous cannot be changed. So the perfect continuous tenses can never be changed into passive form. And one more, the future continuous tense can also not be changed, right? So these are the four forms of tenses that cannot be changed into passive form. Now we see the present perfect form. So now we come to the perfect forms. So here you can see we use has and have in the perfect tenses case, and we add been. So the correct form of be verb for the perfect tenses is has been and have been. And for the past tense, naturally it will convert into had been, because when we are talking about the past, we will use had been. And for the future perfect, we are going to use will have been, because we are talking about future. So we will use will and have been along with it. And if you see, in all the cases, the third form of the verb is a constant. It will never change. It will always be present in all the forms. So this is the general rule of the be verb that is followed when we convert each of the following tenses into passive voice. All right. Now I think in the last class also we were solving the exercise. So we will continue with the exercise because we have revised the concepts again. So now who is going to answer the questions? Raise your hands. All right. So only one student is willing to answer. It means that a lot of the students have doubts then. All right. So now there are more volunteers. All right. Let's start with Sianshi. Yes, Sianshi.
So in passive voice, the sentence will be, he is not bothered in the gossip.
He is not bothered. All right. Anyone else who wants to attempt this one? Mayank, you want to?
The answer will be he is not bothered by the gossip.
All right. So I want to know why you have given this answer. First, tell me the tense that is present in the active voice in the sentence.
Uh,
First, tell me that.
does not bother him. Sir, the tense present here, sir, is
Yes.
sir. It's simple present.
All right. Yes. It is simple present. And we know that the correct form of be verb for it is you need to add is. So that
Yes,
is
sir.
why, yes. So that is why we have added is over here. And we have the main form of verb was the main verb was bother. So the third form of bother is bothered, right? So we have placed that. We have changed the position of the subject and the object, and the last thing was we have added the preposition by before the object, right? So these were the four things that we had to follow while converting it. So first and foremost important thing is that you need to recognize the tense that is being used in the active voice. Then only you will convert correctly into the passive voice. All right. Yes, Pranjal. Now you can answer the second.
Yes, sir. Good morning, teacher.
Good morning.
Sir, the answer will be the seeds have been sown by the gardener.
Pranjal, first of all, tell me the tense that is being used in the sentence.
Sir, present perfect tense.
Okay, correct. So the present perfect tense has been used. So now tell me that what will be the form of the be verb. So complete the sentence again. Tell me, what did you say? Okay, you are muted. Wait. Yes.
Sir, the answer is the seeds have been sown by the gardener.
Okay. So the seeds have been sown by the gardener. And why have? Because we are talking about seeds, right? And seeds is plural. So we are going to use have. And for the perfect tenses, we use been, right? So the seeds have been sown. And for sown is the third form of the verb sow, right? So that is why we are keeping it to sown only, because it is already present in the third form of the verb. So the seeds have been sown by the gardener. And before the gardener, which has become the object in this case, we are putting the preposition by. So everything is complete over here. The seeds have been sown by the gardener. All right. Yes. Now I think Shreya can answer the next one.
Morning,
Yes, Shreya.
teachers.
Good morning.
So the answer will be two bicycles have been stolen by the thief.
All right. Shreya, first tell me the tense that is being used in the
But the
sentence.
tense is present perfect tense.
Yes, present perfect tense. That is why again we will say have been stolen. And stolen is already the third form of the verb steal, because it is steal, stole, and then stolen. So the tense is already in the third form. Why? Because we are using the perfect tense, and the perfect tense uses the third form of the verb, right? So now since we are talking about two bicycles, so it means that our subject is in the plural form, right? So two bicycles, since the subject is in the plural form, that is why we are using have. If it was one bicycle, we would have used has. Then it would have become has been stolen. But since there are two bicycles, that's why we are using two bicycles have been stolen. And then we are putting the preposition by the thief. All right. So before the object, we have placed the preposition by. All right. Now who is going to answer? Angel. Angel, can you hear? All right, Sunny, you can try.
We were defeated by the opponents.
Yes, Sunny, we?
Morning, sir.
We were defeated by the opponents.
All right, we were defeated by the opponents. Tell me the tense of that sentence, Sunny.
Sir, simple tense.
Simple?
Tense.
There is nothing called simple tense, Sunny. It is simple present, simple past, simple future.
Past tense.
Yes. So tell me the whole thing, right? If you will just say
Okay.
simple, what will I understand then? All right.
Okay.
So we were defeated by the opponents. So since it was the simple past tense, so we were just going to use was or were. So here in this case, since the subject of the passive voice is in plural we, so we are going to use were in this case, right? Because were is used for plural subjects. So we were defeated, and defeated is the third form of the verb defeat. It is defeat, defeated, defeated. The second form is also defeated. The third form is also defeated. So we were defeated by the opponents. All right. So I think now you are getting the rules. Yes, now I think I can answer the last one. Yes, I am.
Good morning. Yes,
Good morning.
a note has been written by me.
First of all, tell me the tense. I have written a note. Which tense is it?
Past perfect.
Past perfect. Are you sure? For the past perfect, we use had, not have.
Yes, sir.
I think your concept of tenses. Yes, Rishik, you wait. We have more sentences to do. I will give you the chance. It is the present perfect tense. All right. Have written is the form of present perfect tense. So I have written a note, right? So in the perfect tenses, we use been with it. All right. So what will happen over here is a note has been written. Now in this case, we won't write have. Why? Because we are only talking about a note. And a note is something which is singular in nature, right? So we won't use have over here, but we will use has. So a note has been written. Then what will be placed? By, the preposition. By me. Since now I is going into the place of the object, so me is the objective form of I. So here we are going to use me. So a note has been written by me. If there were many notes, then it would have been notes have been written by me. But since over here it is only a note, that is why a note has been written by me. All right. So this completes these sentences, but I think there are a few more sentences left. Let's see. Yes. So now Rishik can answer.
Sir, the answer is the ball was kicked by the boy.
All right. Rishik, first tell me the tense of the active voice. Because this is the most important thing. Then only you will be able to use the correct form of the be verb.
Sir, simple past.
All right. Yes, it is simple past. Now tell me the answer again.
Sir, the answer is the ball was kicked by the boy.
Yes, the ball was kicked. And why I am using was? Because we are just talking about one ball. right?
Yes,
So
sir.
that is why we are using the singular form was. So the ball was kicked. So this is the correct form of the be verb in passive voice. The ball was kicked. Then we use the preposition by, and then the boy, which has now become the object in the passive voice. All right. Yes. Now I think Pratishtha can answer the next one. Yes, Pratishtha.
Good morning, teachers.
Good morning.
A meal was prepared by her.
Pratishtha, first tell me the tense that we are dealing with.
So, past, simple past.
Yes, it is simple past. Now tell me the answer.
A meal was prepared by her.
Yes. So again, we are talking about a meal. So it is singular. That is why we are going to use was over here and not were. A meal was prepared. And we are using prepared because it is the third form of the verb prepare. The second form of prepare is prepared, and again the third form of prepare is also prepared. So we are using the third form of the verb prepare, that is prepared. We are placing was, that is the correct form of the be verb over here. So a meal was prepared. Then we are going to add the preposition by. And what is the object form of she? It is her. That is why we are placing her over here. So a meal was prepared by her. All right. Now let's see if Angel can answer the last one. Yes, Angel.
Good morning, teachers.
Good morning, Angel. Yes.
So the last one is a thief.
Yes. First, tell me the tense, Angel. After that, you proceed. The police arrested the thief. Which tense has been used over here? I think Angel is having some network issue. Okay, Isha, you can try.
The sentence is in simple past.
Yes,
A
correct.
thief was arrested by the police.
Yes. Again, since we are talking about only a single thief, so we are going to use was, and then the third form of the verb arrest is arrested. So we are using the third form also. A thief was arrested. Then we are using the preposition by, and then we are placing the object, the police. So a thief was arrested by the police. All right, so this completes our exercise. Now we are going to learn some new concepts regarding the active and passive voice. Now let's see them. Now there are certain cases where you will find that two objects are present in a single sentence. So in all the previous sentences, what was happening? That there was one subject and one object present in the active voice. But sometimes in the sentences with the active voice, there are two objects present. Then what will we do in those cases? Now we are going to see that. And sometimes what happens is there is also a complement of the object present. Complement of the object means something that describes the object more, that gives more details about the same object. So in that case, there are not two objects, but one object is present and some extra details are given about that one object only. So now we are going to see these two cases. For example, the selectors made Rahim the captain of the team. So now in this sentence, you will find that Rahim is the object in the active voice, right? Made is the main verb. So the selectors made Rahim. Now Rahim is the object, but what is the captain of the team? Here, the captain of the team is the complement of the object, because it is telling us something more about Rahim. It is giving us the details about the object that is present. That is, the object has been made the captain of the team. So we are getting some extra details about the object that is present in the active voice. So in such cases, how are we going to convert into the passive voice? Let's see. So obviously, since Rahim is the object present over here, so Rahim has been made the subject, right? And the selectors that was the subject in this case, they have been made the object, right? So this was the first thing that we have done. Then made Rahim the captain. It shows that it is the case of simple past tense, right? So for simple past tense, we know that we use was in that case. So we are using the correct form of be verb, that is was in this case. And the third form of the verb make is made, right? So the third form of the verb is also present. And since Rahim is a singular subject, that is why we are using was over here. So Rahim was made the captain of the team by the selectors. So now the object has been used and by has been placed before the object in the passive voice, right? So Rahim was made the captain of the team by the selectors. So this was the case where something extra has been told to us about the object, that is the complement of the object. Now we will see another example about the complement only. The people made him the king of the land. So the people present over here is the subject, right? And again, made is the main verb and him is the object. So the people made him what? The king of the land. So this is another detail that we are providing about the object him, right? That he has been made the king of the land. So again, there is some extra information regarding the object him. So what is going to happen? Him is going to become the subject over here. So naturally, it will be converted to he. And again, since the sentence is in the simple past tense, so the correct form of be verb will be was. And again, the third form of the verb make is made. So he was made the king of the land by the people. So the subject has gone into the object's position and a preposition by has been placed before it. All right. Now, see this one. My father gifted me a new bicycle. Now, in this case, you will find that there are two objects present. My father is naturally the subject over here. There is no doubt in that. Gifted is the main verb present over here, that my father gifted. Now, there is one subject, me, present over here, object, and another object is a new bicycle. Now there are two objects. Me is also present and bicycle is also present. So two objects are present in this sentence. So in these scenarios, we have a choice that we can select either of the two objects as the subject in the passive voice. Because since now we are having two objects, so I can either make me the subject in the passive voice, or I can make the bicycle my subject in the passive voice. So I have a choice regarding it. So now let's see, if I use bicycle as my subject, then how am I going to write it? First of all, we can see that the sentence is in the simple past. So I am starting with the bicycle in the first example. A new bicycle was gifted. So since we are talking about a new bicycle, that is singular in this case, so we are using was, and gifted is the third form of the verb gift. So a new bicycle was gifted to me by my father. So now I have placed by the preposition and my father, that was the subject, has been placed at the end as the object in the passive voice. Now, what can I also do? Instead of choosing new bicycle as my subject, I can also choose me, as me is also an object in the active voice. So if I use I, because me will automatically change into I in the subject's place. So what can I write? I was gifted a new bicycle by my father. So you can see, again, it is was gifted because I am using the correct form of the be verb and the third form of the verb gift. So I was gifted a new bicycle by my father. Again, I have used the preposition by, and then I have placed my object, right? So you can see that in one sentence, I am using the new bicycle as the subject. And then in the other sentence, I am using me as the subject, because there are two objects present over here. One object is me and another object is the new bicycle. So I have a choice whether I want to use a new bicycle as the subject or I want I as the subject. So I can change it in both ways. Both ways will be correct. But it will only be followed in those sentences where there are two objects present in the active voice. If there are not two objects present, then naturally we will have only one way to convert it. But if there are two objects present, then this will be the case. But don't confuse it with the object complement, because object complement talks about the same thing. For example, Rahim was the object and the captain of the team was just giving some extra information about Rahim. Captain of the team is not somebody else. It is Rahim only who is the captain, right? So there is no difference between Rahim and the captain of the team. They both are the same person, right? In the second case also, the people made him the king of the land. So him and the king of the land both are the same person. It is only him who is the king of the land, right? So they are both the same person. All right. So there are no two objects present over here, but they are just providing some extra detail about the object. But in this case, my father gifted me a new bicycle. So after gifted, me is also an object, a new bicycle is also an object. So I am having a choice whether I want to make a new bicycle as the subject in the passive voice, or I want me as the subject in the passive voice. So in those cases, I can have a choice. It will become clearer to you when we will solve some examples regarding it, right? When we will solve the exercise, then it will be more clearer to you. Now, another rule. When a prepositional verb is changed from an active voice to passive voice, the preposition should not be dropped. So now consider this sentence. They laughed at the poor man. So if I write just they laughed, it will become a complete sentence in itself, right? They laughed, they cried. If I write, they make complete sense that they laughed, they cried. So it was actually an intransitive verb, right? Intransitive verbs are those verbs that don't require an object to complete their meaning. So they laughed would have become a complete sentence in itself and it would not have required an object. But as soon as I add the preposition at after laugh, they laughed at, then I would require an object, because now the meaning of the sentence will become incomplete if I leave it at they laughed at, because the person will ask laughed at whom? Then we need an object to complete the meaning of the sentence. So then the object poor man will be placed, right? So in all these cases where a preposition has been attached after the verb to make an intransitive verb into a transitive verb, which requires an object. So in those cases, we are not going to drop the preposition from the verb when we convert it into passive voice. Let's see this, how it is converted. So naturally, the poor man will become the subject of the passive voice. And they, that was the subject in the active voice, is going to become the object in the passive voice. So the object form of they is them. So it has been converted to them. By has been placed as a rule. And since it was in the simple past, that is why we have placed was as the correct form of the be verb. And laughed is already the third form of the verb laugh. So we have placed laughed also. And this at has not been eliminated. That is what we are talking about. So it will be the poor man was laughed at by them. We are not going to say the poor man was laughed by them. This at cannot be eliminated. It will always remain present because this at was the only thing in the first place that allowed the poor man to come over here, right? Because if it was just they laughed, the sentence would have been complete in itself. So this at was necessary for us to add an object over here, right? So that is why we are not going to drop this preposition at from here. It will always go hand in hand with the verb. Now, see there is one more rule. To change auxiliary verbs. Auxiliary verbs are helping verbs. Like was, were, is, are. These are all auxiliary verbs. Or do, did, done. All these are also called because they are not the main verbs, but they are helping verbs. So when we want to change auxiliary verbs from active to passive voice, we need to add be with it along with the past participle to the verb. For example, Mona can do this sum. So do over here is the auxiliary verb, right? So we have converted do to done, which is the third form of do. Do, did, done. Did is the second form of the verb do, and done is the third form of the verb do. So we have used the third form of the verb, but we will also add be, because in all the cases where we use auxiliary verbs in the passive voice, we have to add be with them. So this sum can be done by Mona. So this sum that was the object over here has been placed as the subject. Mona, that was the subject, has been placed as the object. By has been placed over here. And since it was the case of a simple present tense, and be is necessary in case of auxiliary verbs, so we have placed be. So this sum can be done by Mona. All right. So now I think we have just exercises to solve. So if you have some doubts, then first we can clarify those doubts. Then we can solve this exercise. 7 sentences are there. Any doubts? Or should we start with the exercise? All right, then let's do the exercise. Yes, Rishit.
The people elected him mayor. The mayor was elected by the people.
Now see, this is the case of object and the complement. All right. Him is the main object over here, right? And mayor is the complement because him and mayor are the same person. Are you understanding? So this mayor is basically a complement of the object because it is giving more detail about the object him. So the subject is going to be him only because this is the main object. The mayor is just the complement of the object him. So now try it, Rishik. It is in the simple past. Try it. All right. So you are muted. Yes.
He will be elected.
He will know. He will. It is already, they have already elected him. It is in the simple past. So you can't change into future tense. If you will say will be, it will be something of the future.
He has been elected by the people as the mayor.
All right. So if you say has been elected, it would mean that we are talking about something that is in the present perfect tense, because the correct
Yes,
form of
sir.
the be verb is has been for present perfect tense, but it is in the simple past. So again, think what can be the answer?
Sir, he had been.
No, if you say had been, it will become the past perfect tense. Think. Till now, what we have been using, Rishik, for the simple past? What was the correct form of the be verb that we were using?
Sir, was.
Yes.
Was and.
Now try it with was.
Sir, he was elected by the people as the mayor.
He was elected mayor by the people. That is all you have to do. Right. That is why I'm saying remember the correct form of the be verb. If you won't remember, you will always go wrong. He was elected mayor by the people. That is why I am making you solve with the object complement also, and I have also given you some examples with two objects also, so that the concept gets clearer. So he was elected mayor by the people. Why was elected? Because the sentence is present in the simple past, right? So the correct form of the be verb will be was, and elected is the third form of the verb elect. Him was the main object present over here, so it has been converted into the subject he. The people, that was the subject in the active voice, has been changed into the object in the passive voice by the preposition has been attached, and this mayor was just the complement of the object him in the active voice. So we have placed it as it is, right? So we want to use mayor as our subject because it is not the main object in the active voice, but it is a complement. You need to recognize it. Him and mayor are the same person, right? It is just an additional information about him that they elected him what? They elected him mayor. So we are getting some extra information about him over here. All right, wait a minute.